the stranding deck. My name is Bree, I'm joined by Mallory, and we're both animal care specialists here at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. Today we have the pleasure of introducing you to our facility, as well as one of our resident dolphins, and his name is Nicholas. Now here at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, we believe in preserving our environment while inspiring the human spirit through the leadership in the rescue, rehabilitation, and release of marine life, environmental education, research, and conservation. Now this mission does allow us to care for animals in their natural environment, but it also allows us to care for animals who are non-releasable and give them a forever home with us here at Clearwater Marine Aquarium. Now Nicholas, he was one of those animals. He came to us back in 2002 when he was found stranded on the beach with his mother, Noelle. So with names like Nicholas and Noelle, what time of year do you think it was?
Christmas.
Christmas, exactly. They were found on Christmas Eve in an area called Gibsonton, Florida. That's in the northern Tampa Bay area. Now his mom, during her rehabilitation, was diagnosed with pneumonia, an upper respiratory infection, which affects a lot of dolphins in their natural environment. Now his mother, because she had pneumonia, she sought out shallow water to get closer to the surface for her next breath of air. Unlike humans, dolphins are voluntary breathers, which means that they think about each and every breath that they take and the energy expenditure that's required to take that breath. So when they're sick and weak with something like pneumonia, they're going to stay in the shallow water. When they're very sick and close to death, they will eventually beach themselves up on the sand on purpose in order to try and breathe and in order to survive. So if you ever do see a dolphin up on the beach like that, it's very important that you do not push them back because they're there for a reason. Rather, you'd want to call 911 or your local aquarium to try and help that animal. Now at the time, Nicholas, he was about 3 to 6 months old, which means that he was very dependent on his mother because he was so young. So he followed her up onto the beach as well. Now the sun, when a dolphin's underwater, the UV rays disperse, so it doesn't act on them as intensely as when they're up on the sand. So when he was up on the sand, he got second and third degree sunburns, which covered about 30% of his body. So the burns cover from his melon or his forehead-like area all the way back to his dorsal fin. And today you'll see lots of scarring on his back as a result of those sunburns, which he will have for the remainder of his life. So Nicholas and Noelle, they were found in Gibsonton. They were brought back here for their rehabilitation. Noelle was treated for her pneumonia to the best that we could. Nicholas was treated for those sunburns. Unfortunately, Noelle was so sick when she was brought in that she did not make it. She passed away a few days into her rehabilitation, which left Nicholas as a badly sunburned dolphin calf without a mother. Now typically, a bottlenose dolphin will spend about a year nursing from their moms, and then they will spend 3 to 6 years following their mothers around and learning the skills about how to survive in their natural environment. So Nicholas, he did not get a good opportunity to learn how to hunt or fish for his own food, how to forage with other animals in his natural environment, or how to avoid things like boats, predators, and humans, all of those very necessary survival skills for his success in his natural environment. So the government deemed him non-releasable. Zoos and aquariums actually don't make that decision on behalf of animals, and they chose his forever home to be here with us at Clearwater Marine Aquarium since we did his rehabilitation. And Nicholas is currently about 15 years old. He came in 2002, and he will stay here for the remainder of his life. Now we cannot teach Nicholas the same things that a mother dolphin would teach him. However, we can teach him things that help us to better care for him, and we do that utilizing what Mallory has right here in her hand. This item is called a target pole. It looks like a pretty big Q-tip, and that's our main form of communication with the animal. So Nicholas, he's trained to touch that buoy on the target pole and follow it wherever it goes. So we can't tell Nicholas what we want him to do. We can't tell him with words how we want him to move his body, but we can direct him with our target pole. So he's trained to touch it and follow it. So if we wanted to train Nicholas to do something like a speed swim, just like this, Mallory would slap the water with the target pole, meaning put your face here, and then she would move the target pole quickly across the surface of the water, meaning follow it quickly. And that way we can train Nicholas to do that speed swim like you just saw. Then, in the training process, we begin to link that with a hand signal. Nicholas knows to do a speed swim with just a hand signal because that's how we taught it. So if we gave him that hand signal, he would then speed swim around his pool because we link that hand signal with a repetition of that target pole movement. So just like this. Now we train our animals through positive reinforcement training. So what you're seeing today is Mallory is going to ask Nicholas for a series of behaviors with either the target pole or use of a hand signal. And those behaviors communicate to Nicholas things that he is trained or conditioned to do. He then has the option whether or not he wants to participate in that behavior. So he's choosing to participate. And if he is correct, or he is doing the behavior to Mallory's standard, she's going to blow her whistle. That whistle communicates to Nicholas that he is correct and he can return to his trainer for some type of reinforcement. Now, what do you guys think a dolphin likes to receive as reinforcement? Fish, yeah. He gets about 20 pounds of fish every single day, but he's not always hungry, so we have to get to know Nicholas and understand what he seems to enjoy. That's right. So as an individual, Nicholas really seems to enjoy rubs on his back, maybe even one of his favorite toys being put into his environment, or being challenged with the next behavior. In our training session, we can move on to the next behavior as reinforcement. It's not always food. So he seems to really thrive when he's being asked to learn something new or when he's being asked to exercise, which is a great segue into our next topic that we're going to show you. Mallory is currently teaching Nicholas a behavior called V-spin, which is a pretty complicated behavior. In this behavior, Nicholas will be sent to a target pole in the middle of the pool, and he will be jumping out of the water and spinning like this. So it requires a lot of muscle control on his part. He's going to have to go down to the bottom of this pool. It's about 14 feet deep. He's going to have to pump his tail very, very hard to get up and out of the water. He's then going to have to maintain control and spin vertically, get his tail flicks out of the water, his entire body, and then land vertically as well, which is pretty complicated. So in this behavior, he's having to maintain body control. He's going to have to jump in a very specific position, and he's going to have some good height and control in that behavior as well. So those are some things that we're looking for, and this behavior is still in the learning process. So we may see some mistakes along the way, and that's totally okay. We're just going to aim to reinforce we're just going to aim to reinforce the correct responses. If he does make a mistake, we'll just give him a little 3-second pause, allow him to gather himself, and then we'll move on in our training session. So what do you say, Mallory? Let's do it. So what Mallory's going to do is she's going to get up onto that platform over there, and she's going to give Nicholas the direction that he may need in this behavior that he's learning. So right now he seems to understand that the hand signal for this behavior means to jump in the air and to spin. But something that he might need help with is exactly where he's supposed to jump, exactly how high he's supposed to jump, and then Mallory's going to be blowing her whistle for some very specific criteria in this behavior. So she may be looking for him to re-enter very smoothly, like an Olympic diver. She may be looking for him to have that nice height control. So we'll just see how he does. What do you think, Nick? All right, so I'm going to send a signal. Nick is then going to look at that target pole, and let's see how he does. That was beautiful. How about a round of applause? Really good. All right. So then we're going to send him again. And something that's going on in this behavior is that it's actually directional. So if I use my right hand, Nicholas, he's going to be taking off to the right. And we're going to see if he can do it on his own. So the entry was a little bit sloppy, but what you're going to notice is that he came back to me with a really great attitude. So I'm going to do nothing for a few seconds, and I'm still going to give him treats for that because his attitude about failing that behavior was still so good. So sometimes they get reinforcement even if they make a mistake. You want to try again? All right, let's see it. That was really good. Yeah, you guys can give him a big round of applause. He has a little victory dance going. Now what's going on in this behavior is Nicholas, he's learning something new. So it's very important to us that our animals are always learning a new behavior because out in their natural environment, they're going to be solving problems to find their next meal or to evade a predator. So naturally, they're thinking and problem solving with those big brains quite a bit. Now here at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, Nicholas lives a very pampered life. He doesn't have to think about where his next meal is coming from or how to find it, and he does not have predators to worry about. So we find it very important that he's still problem solving in some ways. We're always training new behaviors, even if there's something cute and silly like this one. The process of learning a new behavior is still very important to us. So Nicholas, he's having to think about all those working parts in that V-spin behavior. He's problem solving and figuring out what we're asking him to do. Now we also train our animals for their physical exercise. So in Nicholas's natural environment, he might be swimming many, many miles in search of food. Again, here at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, he lives a pampered life, and 20 pounds of food show up for free every single morning. So if we feed him 20 pounds of food every single day and never ask him to do anything that's physically exerting, we end up with a pretty fluffy and unhealthy dolphin, which of course we don't want. So we do train him to do some high energy, high flying behaviors like you guys may oftentimes see in dolphin shows. Those behaviors do serve a purpose of providing the animal with that physical exercise and physical stimulation that they need. So when Nicholas jumps out of the pool over there, he has to dive all the way down to the bottom. He has to pump his tail very, very hard to get his 350-pound body up and out of the water. That takes a little bit of effort, right? Here's something called a back dive, so take a look. So in that behavior, Nicholas is having to work pretty hard to get his body up and out of the water. It provides him with some really great exercise. It allows us to make sure that he has healthy muscles and a healthy heart. And that other jump, he's adding that on his own. That's his little victory dance.
That's awesome.
Now lastly, we train our animals so that we can take care of them. Believe it or not, these guys participate voluntarily in their day-to-day medical care. So through positive reinforcement training, we can train Nicholas to do something like just show us his body so that we can look over it to see if he has any bumps or scratches or bruises from playing with his toys. We can do something as complicated as asking him to lay back so that we can collect a blood sample from his tail flukes. So in this position, he's going to present his tail flukes to Mallory. We practice this all the time. Today we're not taking a real blood sample, but we practice the fundamentals of this behavior all the time because about 4 times a year we have to take the real sample. So if we're practicing it all the time and he's getting reinforcement for those little baby steps, that behavior becomes something that's very valuable. Even though it may not be the most fun behavior to execute 4 times a year, we build it up with so much reinforcement that giving a blood sample is actually something that's kind of fun. Just imagine that if you went to the doctor and every time you showed up, they gave you $100. I'd be going to the doctor all the time. Yeah. So we do the same kind of thing with Nicholas. He goes to the doctor all the time. He gets reinforcement, dance parties, back rubs, toys in his pool, just for doing this simple behavior because 4 times a year we really need it. We take that blood sample, we give it to our veterinarians, they analyze for a few key factors, and most of the time they tell us that Nicholas is A-OK. However, every now and then, if an animal arises with some kind of illness, we're able to treat it proactively because we know what's going on by taking that blood sample. So we do that proactively throughout the year because they can't tell us if they're feeling ill, so we take it proactively, and then we treat them if anything were ever to go wrong. Now, as you guys continue to watch Mallory and Nicholas interact, I do just want to remind you that we would never interact with his wild counterparts as closely as you see us interacting with any of our resident animals here today. The only reason that we interact with them is because they are permanent residents and they can't survive in the wild on their own. Wild animals, they do a lot better without any human interaction at all whatsoever. So we do want to ask you guys not to feed them when you're out there fishing. Nicholas has a pretty good fish impression. He's on the line. So don't feed them when you're out there fishing. Just keep those boats and jet skis at a safe distance of at least 50 yards from those wild animals. And please do not try and swim with those wild animals either. We want to thank you guys so much for coming out and have a great day. Bye, everybody.
The splash zone. That was so cool.
He's getting excited today.
That's better than SeaWorld.